Scary telling.
I had never driven down Country Road 13 before, but the winding, picturesque route had been recommended to me by a friend. I was eager to take in the scenery and enjoy a peaceful drive with my wife. Little did I know that it would be anything but peaceful. As we drove, my wife's body lay beside me in a body bag. It was a somber reminder of the tragedy that had befallen us on this otherwise peaceful day. I couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness and loss that had taken root in my heart. The countryside around us was beautiful, with lush green fields stretching out as far as the eye could see. A gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers, and the sun shone down from a clear blue sky. It was a perfect day, or at least it would have been if not for the circumstances. As we drove, I tried to take solace in the scenery around me. I tried to lose myself in the beauty of the world and forget about the pain and sadness that had taken hold of me. But it was difficult to ignore the body bag next to me, the weight of my loss a constant presence in the car. It was then that I spotted a baby deer galloping in the field beside me. Its delicate legs moved with grace and speed, and I was struck by its beauty. "Look, honey," I exclaimed, wanting to share the moment with my wife. But then reality hit me like a ton of bricks. My wife couldn't possibly see through the body bag that enveloped her, and the absurdity of the situation struck me. I burst into a fit of nervous laughter, the sudden release of tension almost causing me to lose control of the car. I quickly regained my composure and looked back at the road ahead. But something was different. The once beautiful countryside seemed to have changed. The green fields were darker, and the sun seemed to have lost some of its brightness. A sense of unease washed over me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I tried to dismiss the feeling, to tell myself that it was just my grief and anxiety getting the better of me. But as I drove on, the road seemed to twist and distort before my very eyes. The scenery became darker and more foreboding, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Despite my fears, I drove on, wanting to believe that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But as the miles went by, my unease only grew stronger. The baby deer reappeared, and I felt as if it was leading us somewhere. As we continued down the road, I started to see strange figures lurking in the shadows. They had glowing eyes and seemed to be watching us. The sense of malevolence was overwhelming, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. But I kept driving, hoping that I was just being paranoid. I was determined to reach our destination and put this strange experience behind us. However, little did I know that the horrors of Country Road 13 were only just beginning. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong with the road, that the once beautiful countryside was now twisted and distorted. My unease only grew stronger as I continued down Country Road 13. I was determined to stay focused and get us to our destination, but the strange occurrences around me made it difficult. The trees on the side of the road seemed to be bending at unnatural angles, and the clouds overhead took on ominous shapes. The sky darkened, and the air grew heavy. I could feel the tension in my body growing, my nerves on edge. It was as if the reality around us was twisting and warping, becoming something different, something sinister. And then, out of nowhere, a cold breeze washed over us. It sent shivers down my spine, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were not alone on this road. I tried to keep my focus on the road ahead, but my eyes kept straying to the strange and twisted world around us. It was then that I saw something that made my blood run cold. In the distance, I saw a figure, shrouded in darkness, watching us. I couldn't make out any details, but I could feel its malevolence radiating towards us. As we drove closer, the figure disappeared, leaving me feeling uneasy and on edge. I tried to convince myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, that the grief and anxiety had gotten the better of me. But deep down, I knew that something was wrong with this road, with this place. As we continued down the road, the strange occurrences only intensified. The road seemed to stretch on forever, with no signs of civilization in sight. The sky grew darker, and the air grew colder. Suddenly, the car lurched to one side, and I had to slam on the brakes to avoid crashing. As I looked out the window, I saw that the road had twisted and turned in a way that was impossible. It was as if we had entered some kind of alternate reality where the laws of physics no longer applied. I was terrified, unsure of what was happening, unsure of what to do. The baby deer reappeared once again, and I knew that it was leading us somewhere, but I couldn't bring myself to follow it. As we drove on, the world around us became more and more twisted and distorted. The trees became gnarled and twisted, the sky turned red, and the air filled with the stench of decay. It was as if we had entered into some kind of hellish nightmare, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were trapped there forever. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, we came across a sign. It read "Welcome to Hell's Crossing," and I knew that we had entered into a realm of darkness and horror that I could not have imagined. The sign we had come across read "Welcome to Hell's Crossing." My heart sank as I read those words, knowing that we were now in a place of darkness and evil. The baby deer had disappeared, and I was left feeling alone and vulnerable. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us, waiting to strike. The road ahead was shrouded in darkness, and the air was thick with the stench of decay. As we continued down the road, I started to see strange figures lurking in the shadows. They had glowing eyes, and I couldn't tell if they were human or not. The sense of malevolence was overwhelming, and I knew that we were in grave danger. I tried to keep my focus on the road ahead, but my nerves were on edge. I felt as though we were being hunted, that these malevolent forces were toying with us. Every turn seemed to lead us deeper into this nightmare world, and I didn't know how to escape. Suddenly, the car lurched to one side, and I had to slam on the brakes to avoid crashing. As I looked out the window, I saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. It was tall and imposing, with glowing eyes and a menacing aura. I knew that we were in trouble, but I couldn't bring myself to move. The figure approached the car, and I could feel its malevolence washing over me. It was as if it was trying to possess me, to take control of my body. As the figure drew closer, I felt a sudden jolt of pain in my head. It was as if something was trying to force its way into my mind. I tried to fight back, to resist the malevolent force that was attacking me, but it was too powerful. In that moment, I realized that we were facing something far beyond our understanding, something that defied explanation or reason. We were in the grip of an otherworldly force that would stop at nothing to consume us. But I refused to give up. I refused to let these malevolent forces have their way with us. I slammed my foot on the gas pedal, and the car lurched forward, narrowly missing the imposing figure. We sped down the road, leaving the figure behind. But I knew that it was only a matter of time before it caught up with us. The road twisted and turned, and the malevolent forces seemed to be closing in on us. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, we came across an old farmhouse. It was dark and foreboding, but I knew that we had to investigate. We needed a place to hide, a place to rest, a place to regroup and make a plan. As we stepped out of the car, I could feel the malevolent forces drawing closer. But I was determined to fight back, to survive, to find a way out of this nightmare. Little did I know that the horrors of Hell's Crossing were only just beginning. As we approached the old farmhouse, a feeling of dread washed over me. The building looked old and abandoned, with boarded-up windows and a sagging roof. But I knew that we had no other choice. We had to find a place to hide from the malevolent forces that were closing in on us. As we stepped inside, the air grew colder, and I could feel the weight of the darkness all around us. The interior of the farmhouse was decrepit, with peeling wallpaper and rotting floorboards. It was as if time had stood still in this place, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were trespassing in some kind of cursed space. As we explored the house, we came across strange symbols and artifacts. There were books with cryptic symbols and diagrams, and strange carvings etched into the walls. It was clear that this place had a dark history, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into a trap. As night fell, the house became a place of terror. The malevolent forces we had been running from seemed to be closing in on us. Shadows moved in the corners of the room, and I could hear strange whispers in the darkness. Suddenly, the furniture in the room started to move. Chairs and tables lifted off the ground and spun around in the air. I could feel the malevolent forces growing stronger, and I knew that we were in grave danger. But we couldn't just sit there and let these forces have their way with us. We had to fight back. We gathered whatever objects we could find, and we barricaded ourselves inside a room. But the malevolent forces were relentless. They banged on the doors, and we could hear their whispers growing louder and more intense. It was as if they were trying to break through our defenses, to get inside and take control. I knew that we had to find a way out of this place. We searched the house for any possible escape routes, but every door was locked tight. It was as if we were trapped inside a nightmare world, with no hope of escape. As the night wore on, the malevolent forces grew stronger. They seemed to be getting closer and closer, and I knew that we were running out of time. We huddled together in the room, praying for a miracle, for some kind of divine intervention. And then, as suddenly as it had started, the malevolent forces dissipated. The shadows disappeared, and the whispers faded away. It was as if the nightmare was over, and we had been released from its grip. We cautiously made our way outside, and as we stepped into the light, I could feel the weight of the darkness lifting. The air was clear, and the sky was bright. It was as if we had been reborn, as if we had been given a second chance. But I knew that we would never forget what had happened on Country Road 13, what we had endured in that cursed farmhouse. The malevolent forces that we had faced were beyond our understanding, and I knew that we could never truly be safe, that we would always be haunted by the memories of that night. As we drove away from the farmhouse, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had escaped something truly malevolent. The horrors of Country Road 13 had left an indelible mark on me, and I knew that I would never be the same. As we traveled back home, I couldn't help but reflect on the events of the past few days. The loss of my wife, the journey down the winding country road, the twisted reality of Hell's Crossing, and the malevolent forces that had almost consumed us. I knew that I would never be able to forget what had happened, but I was determined to move forward. I wanted to honor my wife's memory, to live a life that would have made her proud. But the horrors of Country Road 13 had left their mark on me. I was haunted by nightmares, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still out there, waiting for me. As days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, I slowly started to rebuild my life. I found solace in my work, and I spent my free time exploring the natural beauty of the world around me. But I knew that I could never forget the horrors of that fateful journey down Country Road 13. It had changed me, and I knew that I could never truly be the same. As the years went by, I found peace in the memories of my wife. I knew that she was watching over me, and that she would always be with me in spirit. And as I looked back on that fateful journey, I knew that I had survived something truly malevolent. The journey down Country Road 13 had been a test of my strength, my courage, and my will to survive. But I had emerged from that journey stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. And I knew that no matter what horrors the world might throw at me, I would always be able to face them with the memory of my